What's going on, people? You know who it is. It's your boy, the Black Love, and I'm giving my thoughts right now on Metal Gear Solid 5. Alright? The time has finally come. I've officially played both the Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes. The Phantom Pain I played on PC, and I beat the story, did a whole bunch of side ops. I'm still not 100% on the game yet, but the side ops at this point where I'm at right now are just very, very repetitive, and it's just time consuming in all honesty, but I'm going to give my thoughts on the game. My Ground Zero thoughts, I'll give some brief thoughts in this review because it will tie into it, but I will do a separate video for Ground Zeroes because I played that recently, actually. I played Ground Zeroes when it became free to play on Xbox 360. So, yeah, I never bought Ground Zeroes, and I didn't play it when it was out a year ago. These are my thoughts on the Phantom Pain, alright? By now, if you've been interested in that type of thing, you probably heard like a bunch of reviews or thoughts or read some news articles about the craziness of this game. There's a lot of good reviews that are like 10 out of 10, blah blah blah, you know, that IGN bullshit. And then there are a lot of bad reviews that are like, what the fuck, Kojima? What the fuck, Konami? All that stuff. Alright. My thoughts are in between. I'm going to start off by saying gameplay-wise, this game is amazing. When it comes to following up Metal Gear Solid 3, because look, Peace Walker was a great game and everything, but a lot of people did not actually play Peace Walker. I think in terms of sales and like just popularity in general, it wasn't the most popular of the Metal Gear games. That's not saying it was bad. This game is a direct follow-up to Peace Walker, but in terms of gameplay mechanics, I see this game as a massive upgrade over Metal Gear Solid 3, which was a game that, you know, involved you using the terrain and this and that. This is completely open world, which is a lot of fun for me. Some people didn't like that. I like it. The only thing I don't like is that there's only a certain amount of areas, and you'll find yourself, while you play this game, going back and forth between those areas over and over again for different missions. When it comes to story missions, they do move you around to different places, but when it comes to the side ops, you're just going to find yourself doing the same side ops and going to the same places over and over again. And especially when it comes to getting resources, and we'll go into that later. But gameplay-wise, I think this is an amazing game. The weapons, there's just a ton of weapons, a ton of upgrades, a ton of ways you can attack a mission, which is really awesome. This really is open world to the fullest. People like to say, picture, you know, Grand Theft Auto, picture that type of game meets Metal Gear. Well, this is it right here. This is what you want from a Metal Gear military game. You can go stealth, you can go hardcore, balls to the wall action. I like to switch it up. Sometimes I go stealth, sometimes I don't. I mean, when it boils down to it, when it comes to stealth games, you find yourself doing what you see me do at the beginning of this video, and then I kind of switch it up. But you snipe a lot. You try to take people out quietly from a distance if possible. But this game, you could do it either way. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I like that gameplay-wise. I think it's awesome. Where this game fails massively, and this is my opinion, this is not a reflection of Machinima or anyone else, period. Gameplay-wise, this is fine, but story-wise, that's where this game fails. A lot of people will tell you who didn't enjoy the story of this game, they'll say that there's something missing. A lot of people think it's intentional. Kojima, Konami, all the people that talk about the story of this game make it seem as if it's intentional that there's so much missing. If you haven't heard by now, one thing you should know is that there's an entire missing chapter of this game. Alright? A third chapter of this game. So you story-wise, you only have 2 chapters. And when you finish the game, the story mode, the main missions, it's just an abrupt ending. It's anticlimactic, and in the end, there's so much left unresolved. And a lot of that's left unresolved would have been resolved in that third chapter that's missing. Now, the way everything goes, Konami, all of them, they make it seem as if it's intentional. I don't believe that by any means. Alright, now where Ground Zeroes comes into this, and this is what I want to get to, Ground Zeroes is an entire chapter of the overall Metal Gear Solid 5 story. They released it as its own game, kind of like a demo intro to Metal Gear Solid 5. They released it a year before this game came out as its own separate title. I think that was a bad move on their part. Now, a lot of people already voiced their outrage over how short it is and how dare they try to cash grab and release the title. And then when the Phantom Pain came out, a lot of people forgot about that. So when they talked about the overall plot of Metal Gear Solid 5 of the Phantom Pain, they forgot about the fact that Ground Zeroes was obviously supposed to be a part of this as well. So I think ultimately when you look at Metal Gear Solid 5, yes, it is an incomplete game. Not only is there a missing third chapter, but overall, what should have been the first chapter was released as a separate title a year before. All right, that's Ground Zeroes. I just, as much as I enjoy the gameplay of this, it's a lot of fun. I'm still playing it. There's a lot of hours that you put into this game. Does it all feel worth it when it comes to the story? No. I think, honestly, they dropped the ball on this one. Now, a lot of people have mentioned the fact that Konami was going through some financial issues, and that's a big part of the rift that came between them and Kojima. You know, Kojima, when he created Kojima Productions and then, you know, came up with all these projects and stuff, he would just rake up the bill, like just rack up the bill, you know, whatever. Spending is not an issue for him. Don't forget, he used to be an executive for Konami. He was on the board at one point. So he was more than just a developer, you know. This guy was given the free reins to do a lot. And don't get me wrong, he's made a ton of money for Konami. But when it comes to the development of this game, something went wrong somewhere. And it seems to me as if Konami said, you know what, we don't have the money to continue this game the way you want to do it. I mean, personally, as great as hiring actors like Kiefer Sutherland for this game was, and all the work that was put into it, I think they could have done without things like that. Don't get me wrong. His voice acting wasn't bad, but in the end, it doesn't matter who did the voiceovers, as the main character in this game doesn't speak all that much. So that's the thing. You could see that, you know, with all that's missing with this game and the way they released Ground Zeroes a year before, you're not going to be happy with the story mode of this game. I mean, some people will, don't get me wrong. Some people enjoy it and they feel like it's got a deeper meaning. You know, the Phantom Pain is all about missing something, and they try to tie that into it. Don't read into the bullshit, alright? The way I see things is somewhere down the line in the development of this game, the Phantom Pain. I'm not talking about when Ground Zeroes was released. I'm talking about afterwards. They couldn't continue finishing this game. They couldn't put out the rest of the game. So they just released it the way it was. You know, they're not going to take an extra year of development and continue paying them. We already heard rumors that Kojima was leaving before the game even came out. So we know how it goes. We know how the politics work when it comes to developing a game, especially one of this size and stature. So in the end of it, I think that the rift between Kojima and Konami and maybe financial issues is the reason why this game is so incomplete story-wise. Gameplay-wise, awesome. You know, it's a great game. And Metal Gear Online, I'm sure, will be a fun experience. When it comes to PC, I haven't heard a whole lot of bad stuff about it from the console versions. So, yeah, that's what I think about the story mode. I mean, honestly, it would be really great if they released some type of story-based DLC in the future. But from all the reports that we've heard, and probably by the time I release this video, there'll be even more that'll just debunk that theory. There's not really going to be any story-based DLC, it sounds like. All the reports and rumors are that Kojima already left the company before it was officially announced he was gone. So, at the end of the day, I think the way they handled the release of this game wasn't all that great. Just the story mode is just so bad. But, you know, looking to the future of the franchise, I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, if they have a new development team that maybe bridges the games. I mean, you know, you have to read between the bullshit, like I said. They'll tell you that this was how the game was meant to be released, but we've experienced plenty of titles that don't come out the way they were supposed to come out. Things happen during the development, and you gotta, you know, release a product. Ultimately, that's what they have to do. That's their job, is to release a product. And if they can claim it's finished, and we can't prove any different, then there you go. So those are my thoughts on the Phantom Pain. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on Ground Zeroes separately and let you know what my experience was with that. But yeah, I enjoyed this game. I don't think it was a bad buy. Right now, in most online marketplaces and everything like that, especially with the holidays coming up, you can get the game on sale. So it's not like you have to spend the $60 on the game, especially knowing that it's pretty much incomplete. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I honestly hope in the future the development process will be a little bit more transparent, especially with big titles and big games. I mean, we know how it goes. They do anything to not impact sales. But, I mean, when it comes to games like this, they're going to sell no matter what. Metal Gear would have sold even if they only had one chapter in the game. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's been your brother Black Love, and I'm out. Stay tuned for Ground Zeroes. I'm talking about that next. Peace. Big boss, stand up.